Hey, Cleveland. This is Anderson Varejão of the Cleveland Cavaliers. You are listening to the Sports Fix.
You are the voice of the Sports Fix. So pick up your phone now and call 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Welcome in. Off we go. Phones ringing right off the bat as we get things going. Sorry for the delay getting here on the air, but we are here. It's time to rock and roll. It is the madness. The madness has descended upon us. It's the kickoff of the NCAA tournament momentarily. Hey, you've got about 15, well, you've got about 13, make it 12 and a half minutes now to get that bracket into the Sports Fix Bracket Challenge. You've got until tip-off of the very first game here to get your bracket in. ESPN.com Tournament Challenge. Go to the group, The Sports Fix. Of course, if you're listening on digital delay, you're already toast unless you got in. We've already doubled the amount of entrants from last year. It's a pretty good sign for us here. A lot of people signing up last minute. I don't have a final total, but I'll get it to you here when we get rolling. ESPN.com. Go to the Tournament Challenge. Our group is very simple. It's the name of the very show that you're listening to, The Sports Fix. Jump in the group. Drop your bracket. You can use one that you've already filled out elsewhere. Drop it in our group. The winner is going to walk away with a Cleveland Sports prize pack. I'm going to put all kinds of miscellaneous goodies in here, a copy of Vince McKee's book, Cleveland's Finest, as well as a copy of Vince McKee's newest book, LeBron James, Redemption of the King. Both of those will be part of that prize pack. I still haven't decided. I may find a few other cool goodies here to toss in there. But either way, it's going to be a Sports Fix prize pack going to the winner of this one here. Free to enter. You've got until just about 12:15 here if you're listening live to get in, you guys. So jump in there and do it. Plus, if you want a fast link, go to our Facebook, go to our Twitter. You guys follow us on there. The links are up there. I've been hitting them out all morning for people trying to jump in. All you have to do, directly click right on the group link, fill out your bracket, drop it in, you'll be there good to go. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to tell you guys here, I'm going to wait a little bit closer to 12:15 because I don't want anybody copying the winning bracket here because I happen to be in possession of the only perfect bracket in America. I have it. I'm going to talk to you guys about it here. It's the one that, coincidentally, I filled out. No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm terrible at these. I do okay some years, but I've got some interesting picks here. I've got a 15 winning. I've got, not winning the whole thing, but I've got a 14 here. I've got all kinds of interesting stuff. We're going to talk about my bracket, talk about yours here in a minute. Ohio State, do they get past the first game of their bracket? I'm not going to lie. Told you guys yesterday that the Buckeyism in me would probably convince me to at least put them into the second round. I did cave on that. I do have Arizona knocking them out after that, but I caved overnight, and I've given in to the sentimentality that Ohio State and D'Angelo Russell can muster up a great performance here and knock off Shaka Smart's VCU Rams here. We'll see, though. We'll talk about it. I'm going to give you guys my bracket in a minute. We're going to talk, hey, speaking of March Madness, the CSU, well, I got to do the intro before I get, the Vikings played last night in the first round of their tournament like a team that was mad to be there, like a team, that's how the Vikings should have played. If they'd have played that way, a couple of weeks ago, they'd be dancing right now the way they came out and smacked around Western Michigan. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Cavaliers back on track. We're talking hoops, baby, to start things off today. Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com is going to be in the house. We're going to talk Indians. We're talking a little Pete Rose with Mike. All kinds of stuff going on today, guys. Doug Plagans was going to be with us. Just heard from him literally right before we got on the air. We thought this might happen at the border, trying to get a crossover into Canada. You guys know how that works. Odds are Doug will not be able to join us until tomorrow, which is cool because we'll be able to talk to him a little more freely, but he may change that, but I doubt it. He's most likely ixnayed for the show, trying to get a crossover there as the Monsters head up to Toronto for the final game of their road trip here before they're back at the Q. We'll talk about that more. We'll get things going. You know what? Let's get things going. Welcome in, you guys. I wish I had something as fun to start with as yesterday's show. Actually, that goofball actually brought some new listeners into the show. So for that, hopefully every once in a while I can bust another idiot out there pretending to work for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. But let's roll this bad boy and get moving. Welcome in, you guys, to the Sports Fix. Maybe it is your first time, like some of those people who I mentioned just found us yesterday in some of the fun that we've had here in the last few days. Or maybe you're here each and every weekday. Welcome in to the Sports Fix live at noon every weekday across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Maybe you're joining us on TuneIn. TuneIn's radio app worldwide, a fantastic place to get the show no matter where you're at, no matter what device you've got, tunein.com. Maybe you're listening on Spreaker, Mixler, their digital and mobile apps. On our website, the home base, it blasts right from the heavens at noon on the sportsfix.net, plus all of our links and social media, all of that other stuff. It's right there, banner ads right on the sportsfix.net. Make sure you bookmark it. Welcome in, all of you, thousands, say this every day, literally around the world, in time zones and countries all over. 24/7, listening on digital delay, on iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, on CarPlay, on SoundCloud, on all of the DJ platforms, podcast services, subscriptions, feeds, however you get the show. Thank you guys for doing it. As we say every day, thank you for getting your fix. You guys are the Sports Fix. All of us together, we make this bad boy happen, and we have a lot of fun doing it, guys. As I said, phone's already ringing. I'm going to go to them here in a minute. 216-539-7535. Remember, for those of you new to the show, you don't have to call live. You can call 24/7. This weekend, a great weekend to use that feature of the show during the tournament. If there's something that happens and you want to talk about it, you want to leave a take, leave it on the hotline, and we'll play it at the very next opportunity that we have to do it. Sometimes we have only the ability to take one live call at a time during the show. So if you can't get through, leave your take. We'll play it coming back from the commercial break or whatever it may be. You can get through no matter what time, day or night, on the Sports Fix hotline. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Can't use the phone? Hey, maybe you're on the phone listening to the Sports Fix. I get it. So hit us up on social media. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Email us, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. Once again, this is the Sports Fix. I'm the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, and we are dancing into some March Madness here as the NCAA just about 6 minutes from now going to tip this bad boy off and get things started. I told you guys before, this is one of my absolute favorite times of the year, bar none, this particular weekend especially, even though, you know, the games get more the stakes and all of that goes up as we go, but I love the overdose of hoops that comes with the initial weekend volley of the NCAA tournament, and we have definitely got a ton of that on tap here. Kentucky beginning the path. Can they do it? Can they do something no team's done since Indiana back in 76? Can they? Man, UNLV came close. Bill Livingston did an article in today's Cleveland Plain Dealer talking about a couple of those teams and that UNLV team. And I remember that. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I was younger but old enough to get into college hoops by that point in time. And I remember that because the year before, we were just talking about this a couple weeks ago with Tark, the year before, they had gotten blown out. Duke had gotten blown out by UNLV in that final. I think it was like a 30-plus point blowout. I had never seen a blowout like that in the championship of the tournament before, and I just remember, wow, and all the talk of how great that team was. And then they got in all kinds of trouble. They should have been suspended. Instead, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, we're going to let UNLV go out there and try to defend their title. And then Duke with one of the, I think you would have to say, one of the bigger upsets in NCAA tournament history there to stop that one and end that run there. Can Kentucky do that, man? Here you get so many people, they make those crazy comments again where people say this team could play in the NBA. The thing is that while 99% of the time I don't agree with that statement. People say it about college football teams all the time. Oh, this team could beat the worst team in the NFL or whatever it may be. That's not true. Almost 100% of the time not true. Definitely on the football side. The only reason that I think it's getting closer to true in basketball is because of so much of the one and done. So many of these guys now, the great freshman players or great high school players, they can jump into even though they're not ready. We know they could always use a year or 2 or 3 to fill out their bodies, develop their game, work on their fundamentals, all of that stuff. That's why we get a whole generation of 60% free throw shooters and 30% field goal shooters, but they can dunk like no other. But, those guys jump right into the NBA. So when you've got a team like Kentucky that has a whole squad, they're 10 deep, man, and half of those guys are going to be playing in the NBA like tomorrow. So yeah, you could see that they could play. Now I'm not going to go as far as some people. I think it was Larry Brown I saw said they could make the playoffs. Said this team could make the NBA playoffs. I don't know, but I will say that I do think that on the right night they could probably be. Here's the thing. I don't know if they could beat even the worst NBA team because of the bench. Now, they're 10 deep, but, that's usually where I think even the worst NBA team would get you. Because, as you know, the best pro team is all stars at the next level. As you always go up a level, you've got that. You find out when you get to college that they're all the captains of the high school team. They're all the All-Americans. Same thing in the NBA. So I don't know. I never get into that. But, man, it'll be interesting seeing if this team can go out there and do that. Of course, as we know here in Cleveland, if they are going to march through, it's going to come through here as that part of the tournament comes through here to Cleveland. I do have in my bracket, by the way, I should probably do this before the tournament starts. We're close enough now that you guys can't get in and jack my picks here. So I'll go ahead and I'll talk to you guys about what I've got going here. I'm going to tell you now, I've got an upset. I did not go chalk. I do not have Kentucky winning the entire tournament. I've got Duke. I've got Duke winning the entire tournament here. Coach K coming out, I think, again. When you hear my Final Four, you'll see a couple of familiar names there. But looking at my brackets here, and I guess looking at some of the biggest upsets first. I told you guys I had a couple of higher seeds going, and as soon as my page wants to load here so I can pull up my bracket, I'll tell you about that. I've got a 15 seed coming out of the first round. They worked well for me at one point in time in the past, so I'm going back to the well. North Dakota State. I've got them knocking off the Zags in the first round of the tournament, baby. Actually, I've got their second round game a 15 and a 10 because I've got Davidson knocking off Iowa as well. So one of my second round matchups is a 15 and a 10 there. Let's see how close I am on there. I did talk myself into the Buckeyes advancing across into the second round to take on Arizona. I've got Xavier and Baylor coming across both in their rounds. That one going chalk, 3 and 6 coming through. I've got UCLA with the 11-6 upset over SMU there, moving on to take on Iowa State in the second round over there in the South. Next upset coming at you, 12-5, baby. I've got 2 of them coming here because I've got Wofford knocking off Arkansas, man, and then taking on North Carolina in the second round of the tournament. But I've got another one coming for you, man. San Francisco Austin knocking off Utah. I've got them taking on Georgetown in the second round. A lot of people, I think, leaning maybe towards Georgetown getting upset there at some point. I went ahead and took them through to my Sweet 16. I've got them and Duke in the Sweet 16 there. Duke, I've got coming out of their game. Of course, I've got them going all the way through. St. John's is who I've got them taking on in the second round. Oklahoma State and Wisconsin over in the West, the other second round one. Looking up at the top half of my brackets here anyway, I've got Kentucky and Cincinnati coming through. I've got West Virginia knocking off Buffalo, even though Buffalo, even I said the other day, I've got them as a hot pick. I think West Virginia goes through. Here's my next crazy upset, and maybe this is just because I love the Horizon League and the Vikings. I've got Maryland going down in the first round. 13-4 upset. I've got Valpo and Alec Peters going on to face West Virginia in the second round there of the Midwest. Another 11-6 upset. I've got Texas. A buddy of mine will be happy to hear that. Taking their victory there. Moving on to the second round to take on Notre Dame. And coming through at the bottom, I've got Kansas, which keep an eye on them because I'm going to tell you now, I see big things for Kansas and Wichita State in the second round there in the Midwest. Villanova, North Carolina State moving on, chalk there. Same thing, Louisville moving on into the second round of the tournament, taking on Northern Iowa. Dayton, I told you guys, whoever came through with that one, Dayton with the come-from-behind victory, by the way, to play their way into the 11 seed. I've got Dayton running that thing all the way to the Sweet 16. Matter of fact, I've got another double-digit second-round matchup here, as I've got Dayton knocking off Providence here in the first round of the tournament, and I have got them taking on Albany, my 14-3 upset, as I've got Albany knocking off Oklahoma over there in the East. Bottom part of that bracket there, Virginia doing their thing, and I've got Michigan State moving on to the second round there. Virginia and Michigan State, a good second round matchup going on there. Looking through to my Sweet 16. Now, here's where I'll drop this on you. So I'm telling you, see, I've got a 13, a 14, another 14, a 15. I've only got one 14. I've got one 15. I've got a couple of 12s. I've got a 13. I've got a couple of 11s. So I'm kind of mixed all over the place here. My Sweet 16 is as follows: Kentucky, West Virginia, Notre Dame and Kansas, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Xavier and Arizona, Iowa State, Davidson, Duke and Georgetown, and up top here, Villanova, Northern Iowa, Dayton, and Michigan State. My Elite Eight matchups, I've got Kentucky and Kansas out of the Midwest, Villanova and Michigan State, the Elite Eight matchup coming out of the East. I've got North Carolina and Xavier out of the West, Duke and Iowa State coming out of the South. My Final Four, I've got Kansas and North Carolina. I think the road ends for Kentucky at the game with Kansas there at the Elite Eight. I think it ends for them right here, baby. I think Kansas J-Rocc head to another Final Four. They take on North Carolina, a couple of familiar names for college basketball fans year in and year out. On the other side, I've got Villanova and Duke doing battle to match the winner there. Kansas and Duke is my national championship game, and I've got the Dukies, baby, the Blue Devils, winning the whole thing against Kansas in the championship on April 6th. So I got some crazy upsets in there. I've got some chalk in there, too. Let's see how it all plays out. We've hit tip-off time. The tournament is closed. As a matter of fact, while we're live on the air, before we hit the first break here, let's go see how many entrants and brackets we had entered here from you guys. Congratulations to all of you that got in, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to be talking about this throughout the remainder of the tournament here. So you guys make sure that, let's see. I'll get a total here. The list is too big for me to count it on the air. But we had a few more people, it looks like, jump in right before we got ready to go. So that's awesome. The tournament's underway. Our bracket challenge is underway, off and running here. Let's have some fun, man. I told you guys, my favorite time of the year. And the Buckeyes, I did it. I told you what may happen, and it happened. I convinced myself to talk them right on out of the first round of the tournament. But it's not going to mess up my bracket too much because I've got them going down in the second round anyway. They really can win this game, by the way, you guys, taking the homerism out of it. That a lot of people are looking at that as one of the better games. Of course, 4:40 is the tip-off time for that one, of one of the better games and one of the more competitive games here. Graham and Russell should be a good individual matchup there of guys trading buckets, and you've got great coaches, and there's going to be defense played, and I think this is going to be a good game. I do, and I've talked myself into the Buckeyes coming out of the first round here and moving on to the second round of the tournament. What sayeth you? What do you guys have in your bracket busters and challenges and all of that going on this year? What do you guys got? Who do you have winning? How many of you guys have Kentucky going through the entire thing and winning and doing the whole undefeated deal? I don't know. I'm curious to see. I've looked around on the some of the brackets that you guys have filled out here, and now that we're in the break, I'll be able to refresh things, see who the majority of our group picked to win this. I'll be interested to see who most of you guys picked in that one. But let me know. Hit me up on Facebook and Twitter. Let me know who you guys got, who you guys are looking to win this thing. What are your big upsets? Do any of you have some of mine? Do you? Did you hear me and you go, hey, I did that too? I don't know, man. Sometimes I outsmart myself on these brackets, but we'll see. It's all going. They're dancing now. You hear it in the background. They should be dancing. They are dancing. March Madness has begun, baby. Hey, let's take a break, come back and keep talking hoops. Switch it to the pro game a little bit and the Vikings. I'm going to talk a little more. I didn't even get to the score. Vikings smacked around Western Michigan last night with an attitude like maybe they should have not been playing in that game, and that's what I like to see. They definitely played like a team that was not happy with where they ended up in the postseason. So can they maybe run that right on through and win the CIT? We'll talk about that. Cavaliers back on track as well after a very lame start to yesterday's game. You're like, wow, really? Does that say 22-9? You got the score backwards? Am I right about this? But the Cavs righted the ship, took care of business, and knocked off another team that, hey, may, depending on how this works out, all of these teams the Cavs are facing lately could be the first-round playoff opponent. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Mike Brandenberry, just about 10 minutes from now, he'll jump in on the conversation and so much more. Don't go anywhere. They're dancing. We're dancing. It's a Thursday March Madness edition of the Sports Fix. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Public service announcement from the Sports Fix. We here at the Sports Fix and our affiliates would like to apologize for any disturbing verbal actions, but remember, it's better having them trapped in a box than loose on the streets. Public service announcement from the Sports Fix. The Sports Fix, the sports show that cares.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events, Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Hey, Sports Fix fans, I'm Fred McLeod, TV voice for the Cavaliers. When I'm not busy taking elbows for my buddy Austin Carr, I'm tuning in to see what the guys are saying. Come on, Cavs!
I'm Little Teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
What's your fantasy?
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Elo hit a three-pointer on the sideline!
In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book, Cleveland's Finest by Vince Every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
You're listening to The Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live here at the Sports Fix Radio Network. I don't know what happened during the break. I blew out my phone calls on accident. I don't know. Hey, you guys know every once in a while the technical gremlins get to hitting us here. I had my... And, so be it. If you were on the hotline, clear it out anyway, because I apologize. I've got Mike Brandenberry coming on in just about 5-10 minutes from now, so... I'll reopen the phone lines later. I apologize. Technical difficulty there. I didn't hang up on you guys. I'm telling you. I came back from the break literally going, hey, where's everything at? Like, everything was froze. Whatever. You guys know. It's what happens when you've got all the resources tapped here during the show doing this thing, man. It is what it is. But I apologize. I didn't hang up on you. You're special, and doggone it, people like you. And I like you too. And you can call back in later, I promise. Welcome back to the Sports Fix. J-Rocc back with you here. Facebook and Twitter never hangs up on you. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Email us, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Email us, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. No, I'll tell you, Bruce asked, because we have a running gag here on the show that every time we say anything about Mr. Nick Swisher, I don't even know if I want to go there. Anytime we say anything about Mr. Nick Swisher, things go wrong on the show. No, that's not it. I've got to tell you, they push automatic updates on Windows and Firefox and, all the different stuff that we use on the computers. And for some reason, the last few sets of automatic updates have really caused a lot of glitching with the systems and the way that I do things with the show. And I max out a lot of resources. I've got 50 different Windows or different operating systems. I've got multiple computers here, but everything usually flows really well. But for some reason, since they pushed the last Windows updates, and just 2 weeks ago they pushed the last Microsoft or the last Firefox update, and for some reason it causes incredible glitching to where just it'll lock up my whole computer for, not forever, for 30 seconds or 60 seconds or whatnot. And during the show, that can be a pain in the kerfluffle, to quote Jeff Gorman. Let me just tell you that, man, because every once in a while it freezes up the whole thing. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. Poor me. But if you guys may experience that sometimes too, when you update something and then all of a sudden you're like, man, you know what? The old one worked just fine. And now you push this update to me and I'm having all these problems that I never had before. So that's what happened with the phone lines there. Everything froze up, and when I came back, they were gone. So we'll roll on with the show, you guys. Cavaliers. And I'm going to go a couple of minutes, get you the news, and get right back into the show with Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. But Cavaliers back in the flow of things last night after definitely a rough start to things. Like I said, I think it was a 22-9 run to start things off for the Cavs, and it was a sluggish start, and it seemed like, And I really, the thing that caught me by surprise, it had nothing to do with who they were playing or anything like that. It's the fact that the Cavs were talking yesterday about how they don't lose back-to-back games. They do a great job of bouncing back, refocused when they have lost, which is why I like them not winning 15 in a row to head into the playoffs. I'd rather you win 3 and lose 1, win 3 and lose 1. You stub your toe every couple of games, and it keeps you sharp, and it keeps you focused, I'm just saying, you don't win them all anyway. So if you're not, then at least let the ones you lose be for a good thing. But they've shown that renewed focus. We were just talking yesterday about how when they lose, they bounce back. And usually they bounce back and attack the things that were weak on themselves. And we saw some of that here yesterday. But it was a sluggish start at first. Really, I mean, just a really sloppy beginning of the game. David Black called a timeout and said, you know what, this is ridiculous. Cavs had 6 turnovers to start the game, and he looked at everybody in the huddle and he said, hey, you want to know what you do? Stop turning the ball over. That's it. There's no fancy advice to this, man. That's all you guys got to do. And they did. They bounced back. The bench came back. LeBron, a very pedestrian game for him, which is what I love. What have I said since day one of this experiment? When the Cavaliers get to the point that they can win games without LeBron James, that they can beat teams, any team in the NBA when LeBron's off, that's when everybody else starts playing for second, which is one of my favorite expressions, because that is how you utilize. I mean, that's when LeBron becomes the weapon that he can be at that point. When he's the weapon, he can always be neutralized no matter how good he is, because it's what teams have shown from the beginning of time. When teams have the great individual player, they can always take advantage of that and still win. I mean, look at how Wilt Chamberlain was the greatest individual player, I think, one-on-one type, individual type player, probably in the history of the game, because of the size at his era and the dominance. And I mean, they always found a way. We'll let Wilt do his thing and bottle up everybody else, and Wilt Chamberlain would have 40 points and 20 rebounds and no ring once again to show for it. So that's what I mean. In general, they did it to Michael Jordan forever until that team got enough pieces around him that you're done. You focus on Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan will sit back and watch Scottie Pippen tear you apart. And that's where the Cavs had to get. They're getting there. LeBron had, 16 last night? Cavs really across the board, offensively even, 7 players in double figures. Kevin Love, back after taking a couple of games off to rest, and he said it wasn't for the back. There were reports that it was for the back. He came right out and said, no, I don't know why that was reported. It was simply a matter of, hey, we've got a few games left before we hit the playoffs. We want to get you some rest because we're going to need to ride you hard come the playoffs. Actually, when you look health-wise, Kevin Love should be heading into the playoffs the healthiest of his career. I saw the numbers on his minutes. I believe unless he goes on a run in the last few games of real heavy minutes, he's going to finish with the lowest total for his career of minutes average for the season. So health-wise, that's a good thing, because he does have the back issues, and that will allow him to be fresher heading into the playoffs. But yeah, he only played 27 last night, but he dropped another double-double. His 34th double-double of the season, leads the team. He had 10 points, 11 boards, added 4 assists as well. Kyrie Irving, a quiet game for him, 12 points, 10 dimes distributing the ball. LeBron, 16 and 7. As I said, across the board, Tristan dropped in 10. Shumpert dropped in 10 as well. You got contributions from everybody. Kendrick Perkins scored a couple of points, had a couple of rebounds. Hey, Perk was playing a little bit there in the second half, had 6 rebounds, 4 points across the board. Everybody scored. Everybody contributed here. The Cavs hit the boards once again, out-rebounding Brooklyn by 11 rebounds last night. That's what I mean. When they get outboarded, when they turn the ball over a ton, all of those things, usually the next game you see them specifically attack that. Same with the assists. I mean, look at the Cavaliers. What did they end up with? 32 assists last night. 32 assists last night for the Cavaliers on 82 shots. That's a good number there. I mean, look at the difference. Brooklyn shot 80 shots for the game, only had 23 assists for the game. So the Cavaliers actively moved the ball. They shot well as a team, shot 55%. Once again, you say man, taking a ton of three-pointers, but you're shooting, again, what was it, almost 52% last night, 15 of 29, and when you're doing that, what can you say, especially when the other team, look at that you want to look at how Brooklyn gets beat, that's how. They went 5 of 20, 25% from three, and the Cavaliers, meanwhile, go 15 of 29, so the Cavaliers literally scored 30 more points on three-point attempts than the Nets did. It all added up to a 117-92 game. And as I said, not really a statement. I know I heard AC and Fred talking about it a little bit, but it's not, I don't agree with statement against the Nets, but it's a team, they're a team that may end up facing you in the first round. It would take a lot, but who knows over the last 2 weeks here how this is going to shake out. Could be Indiana, could be Miami, although Miami with the game. By the way, out of last night's game, did you guys hear about LeBron? He knows the Heat so well from having played there for the last 4 years, and knows Dwayne Wade, that they were watching on the TV. The Miami, of course, Wade hit the game winner last night, and they were watching it on TV. And I guess LeBron turned to a couple of the reporters and called not just the shot, but the exact type of shot and where and how it was going to go. And then, boom, 2 seconds later, like Nostradamus, Wade hit it, went left to right with the pullback, just like he called it, nailed the shot for them. Miami's actually, I think, in 6th place here now, or working on that, maybe a half a game out of it or whatever. So it could be any of those teams. It could be Brooklyn charging in there. It could be a lot of these. There's 4 or 5 teams bunched up there. So Cavaliers, I don't agree with the word making a statement, but make sure that they keep that in their mind. I can definitely appreciate that idea as well. Cavs improved to 25-9 at home, 44-26 on the season for the Cavaliers. Coming up next, speaking of those teams that the Cavaliers are going to maybe see in the first round of the playoffs, here comes another one. Just mentioned them, the Pacers. It's coming up tomorrow, and that one also at the Q. There's a team that doesn't match up well with the Cavs, or for the Cavs at all. Last couple haven't gone well. This time you're not catching them on a back-to-back. They're not catching us on a back-to-back. They're not catching the Cavs tired. Let's see how this one goes at the Q tomorrow night. We'll preview it tomorrow. Eddie Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland will be in the house with us to talk some Cavaliers hoops and preview that one as the Pacers head to the Q. Guys, let's take a break. Let's get the news in, and let's get Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com in on the conversation with us. I know Mike going to join us here and talk about this Cavaliers hoops team that we're talking about. I'm going to see where he's got going with the NCAA tournament. We'll talk some Indians baseball as they enjoyed their only off day of the spring. And, hey, we'll talk a little Pete Rose as well. I'm curious to see where Mike Brandenberry's in on that and everything that we're talking about today on The Fix. Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com joins us next after the news here on The Sports Fix. Don't go anywhere, baby.
Coming on. Gotta make it happen. Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen. Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen.
We here at the Sports Fix want to make all of your dreams come true.
What about my dream?
Edith, I told you I can't build your candy house. It will fall down. The sun will melt the candy. It won't work.
It will if it never rains.
Oh, maybe not all of them. Get your fix on the Sports Fix.
This is head coach Gary Waters at Cleveland State, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your automotive car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. They're open late Monday through Thursday until 9 p.m. and open early Saturday so you can check it off your to-do list and get on with your day. They also have a newly remodeled service lounge and additional service bay just for Quick Lane oil changes. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck is located at 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck. That's QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Today on Save on Taxes, we ask 100 people what costs less than filing your taxes with IRS Free File.
A car seat. Oh, a pair of shoes.
The correct answer is nothing. When you use Free File, you get brand name software, tax prep, e-filing, and help with the new healthcare provisions, all for free.
So, did we win anything?
Everybody wins. freefile.irs.gov. It's fast, it's safe, it's free.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
News break.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, live coverage on SportsCenter of Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim, the Hall of Fame coach, announcing yesterday he'll retire in 3 years. NFL, the agent for Adrian Peterson told Fox Sports the Vikings will not release the running back, making his return to the team uncertain. Minnesota's publicly said it hopes to bring Peterson back next season. He missed most of last season because of a child abuse case. Peterson, on the commissioner's exempt list, has voiced his displeasure with the team because he feels he wasn't supported by some members of the Vikings. Lions GM Martin Mayhew says he does not expect his proposal to expand replay reviews to penalties to be added to the rule book next week at the NFL annual meetings. NHL, Red Wings won't have dazzling playmaking center Pavel Datsyuk tonight against the Panthers or tomorrow in Tampa Bay due to a lower back issue. Baseball, no timetable for Red Sox closer Koji Uehara to return to the mound from a strained left hamstring, but he says he believes he will be ready come opening day. Yankee skipper Joe Girardi said Alex Rodriguez will likely skip the team's spring training road trip on the east coast of Florida.
SportsCenter is brought to you by TrueCar. If you're in the market for a new car and want to have an amazing new experience buying it, you need to check out TrueCar. Save time, save money, and never overpay. Download the TrueCar app today.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Indian fever. It's catching fire with everyone. Indian fever.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rocc back with you here. Jerry Myers getting ready to be joined by Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. Here we're talking Indians baseball, March Madness, Cavaliers hoops, all kinds of stuff here. Love it when Mike joins us. By the way, guys, did a final count. We ended up with 60 entrants into the NCAA bracket challenge here. However, several people didn't finalize their brackets, so there's a bunch of empty brackets. There are 50 finalized, legitimized brackets that entered, so nice round number. 50 of you guys ended up entering your brackets into the Sports Fix Bracket Challenge, and of the 50, 31 have selected Kentucky to win the whole thing. So 3/5 of you guys went chalk with the bracket here and took Kentucky to finish off history undefeated. I saw a couple of you were in my corner here going with the Blue Devils of Duke. That was who my pick was. I'm going to talk to Mike Brandenberry here. Mike was one of those 31 people who selected Kentucky to win the whole thing. We'll talk to him about his bracket here in just a minute. If you guys got in with us, that's awesome. If you didn't, you missed out on a good time. We're going to be talking about it here on the air. Now, that could be good or bad, by the way. I warned everybody ahead of time that I'm going to talk about it. So I may talk about the best brackets. I'm also going to talk about the worst, but don't feel bad. Most years I'll probably be talking about myself in that category too. Last year I was struggling until the end, and then luckily I had a few picks differently than everybody else that was enabled me to at least save face and finish. I think I may have even finished in the top 10, but I didn't deserve to be. I was at the bottom for most of that thing. But anyways, good luck to you guys. We'll keep talking about it as the tournament rolls on. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. Email us, sportsfix at AOL.com. Mike Brandenberry, did the Tribe win last night.com? No, because they had their only off day of the spring. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, J-Rocc. I'm ready to go. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on my bracket.
I haven't looked. I haven't looked. I just see the winner. It lets me know who everybody picks. I'll pull it up if you want, but I had not looked yet because I wanted to save the conversation.
All of my college basketball intellect into it.
You did?
I want to brag. I spent a lot of time with everything that I know from this college basketball season. I applied it to that bracket.
Oh, man, I can't tell if you're being facetious here or not. Did you just pick the higher seed and everything all the way through?
I'm straight chalk the whole way through. I haven't watched.
You know what?
I haven't watched a single college basketball game in its entirety all year.
You know what? I did one of those
Saturday
too.
Afternoons when they're all on is to take a nap.
See, I did one of those too. I'm not going to lie. I did a chalk bracket too. I did an all top seeds bracket just for the hell of it so I could see what the actual percentages is at the end. I did do one for fun, not for our contest, where I picked just the higher seed to win every game all the way through and then get down to the Final Four, which absolutely is not going to happen. But I wanted to see, I actually usually, and I didn't do it this year, usually I do a chalk bracket and then I do a completely random bracket where I just flip a coin for every matchup and I see which one ends up with a higher percentage, going with all the better teams or just literally flipping a coin on every matchup. But I actually did spend my time on my real bracket that I did here, and it doesn't matter, man. I mean, it's all for fun, but I'm probably going to stink it up. But we'll see, man. I picked some 15, a 14, a couple of 13s. I'm not afraid to go against the chalk, man.
Hey, I'll tell you, the random bracket's not the bad way to go. I've been a college basketball fan at times. It's never been something I've really been passionate about or hooked to. Honestly, I've spent enough time in schools. I become a college basketball fan of a team when I have a kid or I know a kid that becomes a part of that team. I was an Ohio State fan for 3-4 years when John Diebler was there. I was fortunate enough to cover him when he was in high school, and I've been some fans of some different teams. I went to BGSU. I was a Falcons fan. I was lucky enough for anybody that went to BGSU or maybe from the area. I went to high school and college with Anthony Stacy. He's a good friend of mine, and so I was a BG fan for sure while he was there, and I was there at the same time. So my fandom kind of goes where I know somebody, but I have never really been like a die-hard college basketball fan. So right now I don't have a team because I don't have a player that I'm really tied to. So I haven't paid much attention this year, and so when it was time to fill out my bracket, I decided to just go case study and let's see how many of your listeners can do better or worse than chalk. I'm willing to be the line. So
you're the line. It's like the Mendoza line. It's the Brandenberry line,
exactly.
Man. That's it,
exactly.
man.
Just call me Ryan Rayburn. If you can do a little bit better, then you're good to go. You've defied the odds, and if you do a little worse, then you're below average and in jeopardy of being DFA'd.
That's it, man. Hey, you guys, real quick. A couple of you have asked me here in the last few minutes if your brackets didn't make it. I don't know. All I can tell you is that apparently some people did not finalize the process of getting their brackets in. I didn't pick and choose anybody. I wanted 1 million people to enter this thing. So something had to have been done wrong on your end if your bracket did not make it in. But I've had several people ask me, and I can't locate their bracket. So apparently you did not enter it into our contest. And unfortunately, the entry is over. So there's nothing I can do about that. And I've tried, but those guys over at ESPN don't ask my opinion on anything. So I'm pretty sure that you're out of luck when it comes to entering the contest. But anyways, hey, while we're talking hoops, before we jump onto baseball, how about the Cavs, man? Since we talked last week, another couple of interesting games have passed here. I mentioned earlier, I don't know when you were listening, that I don't enjoy enjoy watching them lose, but I enjoy watching them lose about every third or fourth game here heading into the playoffs, because to me, that just enables you not to get too into the future. It keeps you in the moment. It keeps you on the ground. It keeps you working on your weaknesses. Every time you start to go, okay, we're rolling. We've won 3 or 4. Ooh, we took a step back. But then they bounce right back and they refocus. That stops you from going into the playoffs complacent, in my opinion. Even if you don't want to lose games, it's still a good way to lose them heading in.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought last night, to me, was as much an eye-opener for them as anything. I think they've played so well since, that early January date whenever LeBron came back from injury. I think they've played so well that I think we all do, and whether anyone on the team would ever admit it or not, I think they do the same, where they look at the schedule and they know that's a game they should win. And I think last night, early on, was a little bit of complacency because that was a game that they should win. And you look at the Miami game, I think that's the last game on a road trip. I think in fairness, the Heat probably have a little bit more to play for right now. They have a little bit more of a sense of urgency, and for lack of a better term, I think they just wanted it more that night than anything. And the Cavs looked like a team that was tired and ready to go home. But last night they looked like a team that kind of expected to roll out the ball, and the Nets were going to say, okay, well, you're better than us, and have at it. And it didn't start off that way, and it's nice to see the Cavs shift gears into, demolition mode, if you will, because that's really kind of the way that things went after maybe the first 7-8 minutes. There was a serious shift of gears there, and by the end of the first quarter, you could see that things were going to work out the way that everybody thought they were going to anyhow, and eventually it turned to a blowout. But I'm with you. I think that the trip west to Texas and then Florida was a nice telling trip. I think it shows that they're capable of beating any team. I actually, as the season goes on, I think the West is very competitive, but I'm not sure it's as great as everyone makes it out to be, because, if you go down the standings since LeBron's return, they have had their way with the West for the most
13-1.
So
13-1 against the West, bro. Yeah.
So I'm not sure the West is as tough as everybody makes it out to be, and that one is without Kyrie, and so
yep.
And
still barely lost.
Right. When the Cavs have their best on the court, and when the Cavs are rested and healthy, I think they're the team to beat. And I don't think it matters what seed they are, whether it's 2 or 3 or wherever they fall. I'd love to see them finish second, and I think they will. But I think the most important part is that the Cavs hit the playoffs with all guns blazing, and they've got a healthy roster. I think that's the most important part, and they'll be the team that nobody wants to play. That's for sure. Atlanta can talk about their record and all of their achievements all they want, but don't think for a second that they aren't paying attention to where the Cavs are.
Absolutely. And, I mentioned this in the first segment, and now I got the stat to go with it. My line all season with the Cavs from the beginning, when they first, way before the trades and stuff, I said, man, when this team gets to where they can do what they do without LeBron James and they can play, they don't have to win all of them, but they can play and beat anybody without him, that's when it's over for the rest of the league, and that's when the Cavs really will take that next step. I got the stat to back that up. Check this out. This is eye-opening here to exactly that point of how good the remainder of the Cavaliers have gotten around LeBron James for the first 3 months of the season. And it's actually a direct split, 8 games in each number that I'm going to give you here. From October, November, December, when LeBron James scored less than 20 points, there were 8 games. Cavaliers were 3-5 in those 8 games. From January 1st until now, they've also had 8 games where LeBron has scored less than 20 points. Cavs are 7-1 in those 8 games since the beginning of January. That is the difference in this team now, is that now LeBron James can be a normal guy. I'm just saying he can have an off day. LeBron James does not have to put on his cape and carry the Cavaliers for them to beat the good teams anymore. And that is a whole different story than everything else that we're talking about. And when you talk about getting comfortable and humming heading into the playoffs, they have more double-digit blowouts in the last 14 home games than they did in the first 20 put together. The last 14 home games, the Cavs are outscoring teams by 15 points a game. I mean, really just blowing teams out at the Q. In the last 14 games, of course, they're 14-0 in that run. 13 of those by double digits. The margin of victory, 16-plus per game. The first 20, they were barely 500, 11-9 at home, and their margin of victory was only 1.5 points. That's a huge just spotlight in the two differences in this team. But look at that with LeBron under 20 points. That shows you how strong the rest of the team is now.
Yeah, I think it says a lot to, first of all, what a healthy LeBron can do, and how he can make other people better when he is healthy. Of course. And I think it has everything to do with that, and of course their roster additions. You know, they went from Sean Marion logging 30 minutes a night to, I'm not sure that if and when they really decide that he's healthy. I know he's been active a couple nights but not played. When he's really healthy, if he's even in the rotation, and if he is, it's not for very many minutes, So
yep.
I think, the additions of Shumpert and J.R. Smith and Mozgov have made them so much deeper, so much better on both ends of the court.
And I mentioned it earlier, man, passing the ball. They didn't pass the ball well in the game against Miami. And really, even when, you look at that crazy game Kyrie had against San Antonio, but it was a lot of isolation. 32 assists on 45 field goals. It seems like not only do they bounce back with the win after a loss, but they bounce back and win in exactly the way that they lost the game before. They come out and completely, if they got hammered on the boards, they come out and attack the boards the next day. If they only had 10 assists for the game, they come out and have 30 the next game. They completely attack the way that they got beat, and that's different than just coming out and playing strong. Something else too, Kevin Love, I love to throw out my statistics that I go out here and find for all some people that this has nothing to do with whether you would have traded or any of that stuff, or do you want to pay him big money. Just what he's doing this year. I didn't even know this until this morning when I was getting ready for the show. But on the whole, as the season, and I don't live and die by plus minus, but the Cavaliers are a plus 6.5 when Kevin Love is on the floor this season, and the Cavaliers are a minus 1.5 points when he's off the floor. So statistically, there is a difference in the Cavaliers. And I mean, plain and simple, say what you want. Just because he's not scoring 25 points a game like he did in Minnesota, he's still getting you double-doubles every night of the week, and he's killing the boards, and he's still a great passer off the boards. To me, as long as he's doing that, people confuse next summer's contract argument with this year's what's the value of Kevin Love.
Yeah, I think the whole Kevin Love story, I have to be honest with you, I think the biggest reason that I really enjoy this season, and maybe this isn't good for you and me and for what we do, but I learned if I learned anything from LeBron the first time around, was stop listening to all the noise. Stop listening to the media. Stop listening to local reporters, national reporters. Stop listening. And I could never come on here and pretend to tell you that I've tuned it all out. It's impossible.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'll tell you, I try very hard, and I think I'm pretty good at it. Luckily, in our town, they only talk about Browns quarterback, so it's not hard to tune out all the Cavs and Indians talk from 92.3 and KNR. That is pretty easy. I don't watch a lot of ESPN, so it is, it sounds easy, and of course I do hear some of it, but I really feel like I filter a lot of the garbage out about Kevin Love drama and LeBron and David Blatt drama, and I think that some of that is the most made up, news driven. I mean, they're trying to turn this season into a soap opera, and I really think for myself, the reason that I really enjoy this season, the ups and downs, every twist and turn that this team has taken in 70 games so far, is because I really don't listen to any of that garbage, and whatever I hear, I just don't take seriously. I just remember to the first time LeBron was here, you could find any story you wanted indicating anything you wanted. So if you want Kevin Love out of town at the end of the year, you can find a story that'll lead you to believe that. And if you want a story that says that Kevin Love is happy as a clam and buying a house in Strongsville, you can probably find that too. So I just take all of it with a grain of salt. And there are some writers that over the years I've lost a lot of respect for, because I think they've gone from good Cavs and basketball writers to guys who try to make news. And I'm not really interested in news, and this is where I said, maybe that's not the best thing for what you and I do, because I've really tuned as much of it out as I can. And so, I mean, when I hear Kevin Love and I hear, LeBron and David Blatt, controversies, and I use quotes around that because I think most of that is just driven by the news. And I think the reason that I really enjoy this season is because I have tuned a lot of that out. I jokingly tell people I try to treat it like I would have watched sports in 1986. And you get the newspaper once a day. There's a story in there. You read one about the team and close it up and wait for the next game. And I'll tell you, in our world of immediacy and having everything at your fingertips, it's one of the things that I really like about the Cavs, because I tune so much of that garbage out, that on game day, I'm excited. I mean, there are days, tomorrow will be one. I'm excited to see them play the Pacers at home. That's a potential first-round matchup there. I think there's an opportunity for the Cavs to kind of inflict their will and maybe put the idea in Indiana's head that, if we match up, this is not going to be like it has been, the two times in Conseco Fieldhouse, and I'd like to see the Cavs hand it to them. But I get excited because I don't have 24 hours of Cavs drama as the world turns. I really just tune all of that out. And like I said, maybe to your detriment and mine, I would encourage more sports fans to start doing that. So basically what that would mean is stop listening to all sports talk radio, if you're a Browns fan, because you're just driving yourself insane for no real reason.
Well, I tend to think that you can enjoy yourself for 2 hours a day here with us. I wouldn't necessarily turn all of them off, man.
Well, turn them all off with you, and we've been
whatever. I'm not the only one. There's other people that are fair as well.
You are very eclectic and cover a number of sports where other guys don't, and.
Even if I do make you listen to some Browns quarterback talk from time to time, I at least don't drown you in it. Maybe I'll dip your head in it a little bit and waterboard you for a few minutes, but I let you up. I let you breathe. I get the Indians back into the game.
We made it 20 minutes. That was pretty good.
You know what I'm saying, brother. I'm with you. We're in the same boat with a lot of what you're saying. So that's why all season long, Kevin Love, there is no controversy to me. That's why I keep saying that people confuse next summer, should we sign him to a maximum contract? Because I do agree that that's something the Cavs have to think about is, do you want to if his role on the team is going to fit a certain role, then you have to set a value. But that has nothing to do with now. He shows up every day. He plays hard. I like Kevin Love's game. I wouldn't have traded Wiggins for him, but so what? Again, nobody called me and asked before they made that trade. So all I can do is say, hey, I wouldn't have done it. But I don't see that whole Kevin Love controversy. None of that, man. At the end of the day, he's doing his thing, and he still, like I say, leads the team in double-doubles, and I still think come playoff time, there's going to be games where Kevin Love grabs the big rebounds, gets the big boards or whatnot, where people go, damn, okay, I'm glad we had him on the team. Whether next year you want to pay him $20 million a year, that's different. But I think people confuse it and they go, no, just enjoy. He is a good basketball player. It's just a matter of, how much money do you think he should get paid? But other than that, I don't see controversy in Kevin Love.
Yeah, I completely agree. To me, it's just it's made up news, and I'm with you. Just enjoy what we got while we have it. If anything, that's another thing I learned from the first time around with LeBron.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that thought he was never leaving. Let's just enjoy this year for what it is, and let's worry about next year when next year shows up. And
amen.
That's kind of my attitude with the Indians too. Let's not talk necessarily. As spring training carries on, I become more and more frustrated with the talk of service time and pre-arbitration and holding guys back until June. Let's just try to win and have fun right now. Let's worry about all that other stuff later.
I'm with it. Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. This is the Sports Fix as we click over into the top of Hour 2. J-Rocc with you here, rolling on quickly. Not that this will matter for those of you listening on delay, but Notre Dame at the half, they were looking, it was a little upset alert there. They were trailing literally until about the final 30 seconds of the first half here against Northeastern. Notre Dame is a lot of people's hot upset pick. As a matter of fact, I believe I saw Elton Alexander from the Plain Dealer has Notre Dame winning the whole thing. They're the team he's got knocking off Kentucky, but they had a little scare there in the first half. Right now, halftime, 31-27. Notre Dame with a 4-point lead as they righted the ship a bit. We'll see if they come out of halftime and can go ahead and finish things off. You tend to see that a lot in these early games, is that they'll be very close for a half because that underdog just got done watching Hoosiers 15 times over the weekend. They're ready to go. Coach measured the hoop. He showed them the tape, all of that stuff. And you'll get those good first halves, and then you usually start to see the more talented teams pull away in the second half.
Yeah, I agree. And since I haven't seen a game all year, that's all I got for it. Yeah. I have Notre Dame to the Sweet 16 because that's what the seed said to do. So
that's what the seed said to do, baby. I love it, man. All right, hey, as we roll on here, let's switch off the hardwood. Let's go into the baseball diamond. Indians enjoyed their only day off, pure day off of the entire spring, and then tonight, hey, like I'm not in heaven enough with all the basketball. I get late night Tribe baseball on top of that, man. You can't beat it. As the Indians got a little 10 o'clock game here tonight. But how you feeling, man? I know, as you said, you're getting frustrated with this, that, and the other thing. But where are you at so far with a couple of weeks to go?
I'm getting excited. I mean, I'm interested to see how this roster shakes out. I think there's some real underlying storylines, kind of coming to the surface now. And I actually yesterday sat down and kind of plotted out in my mind what I think would be their likely opening day roster at this point. And I'm not sure if it's good or bad, but I can only come up with 24 guys for 25 spots. So
okay.
I guess I would say there's a good competition remaining out there for that 25th spot. I think it could go a lot of different directions, but I came up with 12 pitchers and 12 position players, kind of worked under the premise that Nick Swisher would open the year on the disabled
on the
list.
DL.
So, I had Gomes, Perez, Santana, Kipnis, Ramirez, Chisenhall, Brantley, Bourne, Moss, Murphy, Aviles, and Rayburn. And as long as I can count, I think that was 12. And then on the pitching staff side, I had Kluber, Carrasco, Bauer. If it was me, I think today, if the season ended, I think TJ House, or if spring ended, if the season started, I think TJ House would be your number 4 starter right now. And then I had McAllister.
Let me ask you something real quick. We were just pitching around the other day while you just hit something I was going to mention anyway, but I think I was talking to Dan, it might have been Dan, I don't know, one of the other guys this week, and I mentioned that I would even kick the tires on the idea of flip-flopping what you just said with 3 and 4 and putting House as the third guy to kind of break up the arms there, and then have, because you know, we were talking with Gavin Floyd about moving Bauer down to 4 and how much that I think amplifies his value there to the staff. That would kind of let you do the same thing there. Does that sound like anything you would kick the tires on at all, or am I just being crazy?
I think there's something to that. I mean, you want to give teams a different look, and I mean, if TJ House does become a guy who opens the season with the big league club, I mean, he's certainly different than Kluber, Carrasco, and Bauer. Those are all power arms, right?
Power
arm guys, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if from the point alone of, you go into a 3-game series and you hand them Kluber and Carrasco, then you kind of come back with a guy that's totally different and a little bit more of a soft toss and lefty, and you force teams into, maybe their platoon guys getting on the field, and you kind of shake up their lineup a little bit, and you kind of force them a little bit out of their comfort zone. And I mean, big league hitters are big league hitters for a reason. They're good at taking advantage of the same thing over and over. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some validity to the idea of maybe putting House in the third spot. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, after the first time through the rotation, the order really doesn't matter that much anyways. So, I mean, chop them up, sure, split those power arms up some. I think it's definitely to the Indians' advantage. And, depending on maybe who your fifth starter is, you don't necessarily want to go with 3 power guys and then 2 soft tossing guys in a row. So maybe kind of split that up, and then, regardless of when you enter a series where those guys hit, you're showing your opponent a little bit of everything and kind of getting that mix and match there.
Because think about it, Mike, you hit a series with those 3, power arms in a row. You get locked into looking fastball and swinging faster. But man, in between that series, if you've got that craftier guy coming at you a little bit, all of a sudden you got to change your approach, and then boom, here comes the next guy, and you're back to the hard thrower again. It adds another element. You got the lefty, righty. That's just something I've been throwing out there is, man, everybody's kind of doing what you did, just scratch off Floyd, move Bauer up, and move everybody up a step. But I'm like, man, I don't know, man. And plus, I think I even heard Terry Francona talking a little bit about how there's still a lot of things in play there, and that's one of the things I would at least tinker with. Anyways, but so who do you have grouped? I'm assuming it's some pitchers and some position players in that. Who ends up with the 25th roster spot?
So I guess, I have McAllister on my roster. I'm not sure where he goes. I think in theory maybe they call him the 5th starter, but they only need a 5th starter twice in the first 18 days, and I think that's a wrinkle that kind of goes with maybe how that 25th spot ends up getting decided anyhow.
And maybe more with weather, because this is early season in Cleveland,
Sure.
So
right, toss in a rain out, and much of their schedule is against the Central Division in April. So home and road, you're talking about weather in Detroit and Chicago, not sunny beaches. So, I think McAllister's on there, and then you have a bullpen, I think, of Allen and Shaw, Atchison, Zubchinski, Crockett, Hagedorn, and to me, I put C.C. Lee on there as maybe my 24th guy.
I like Lee too. I like him, man.
He's a guy who pitched well in the second half.
Yep.
I know he's a guy that they think, can put it together. And if for no other reason, they're kind of thin on the right-handed side of their bullpen. So I think he, if this is like a survivor island, I think he's safe. I think he has immunity, barring some, catastrophe in the next couple weeks. So that's 24 guys in my mind. And
I like Lee, as I said.
My 25th guy column has Tyler Holtz, Carlos Moncrief, Bruce Chen, Scott Downs, Sean Markham, and Francisco Lindor in it. And I think, there's good reason. There's like pros and cons for all of them. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily the right pros and cons, but I think those are the guys, if you're using the March Madness analogy.
I think you're right.
In my mind, those
that's
are the
your
guys
bracket
that are
buster.
on the bubble.
Yeah, that's your bubbles right there, man. Yeah, absolutely. Man, I'm already thinking of those names as you throw them out there, man, because I can make a case for every single one of them to make this team, no doubt about it, man. And I kind of want every one of them to make this team in a certain aspect of thinking of it, because I'm one of the guys. I know maybe I get that soft spot for these guys every once in a while, but I want Chen and Markham. You're never going to get both of them to pan out, but I want them both to pan out this year. I root for those guys, man. I know it's easy.
You root for those guys. Over the years, you were on. You were the captain of the Josh Tomlin All-Star.
I do.
So,
I want to see the guys that work their butt off and look for a second chance. Maybe it's because it's personal stuff. Maybe I've got that chip on my shoulder too. But I like guys that for some reason it went off track and then they have to get it back and they've got it. Whatever, man. I find my guys and I stick with them, man. And I want to see at least one of those guys positively contribute to this team, man. And plus I love when guys come out of nowhere, man, because everybody thinks they know so much and everybody just copies. Like you said, they listen to the next guy and they repeat what he said, and I love when them guys come out of nowhere and say, hey, nobody was talking about me. And I'd love to see one of those guys be it. Obviously, Chen is what he is. He's a great, easy drop in for a 1 or 2 start veteran guy if you need it, whatever. I am actually much higher on Sean Markham if he can recover, because I really liked some of the numbers and some of the scouting reports where people talked about him before he was going through the injuries, because, man, he actually seems like a prospect cut short, and that maybe you could really harness something out of him more than Chen. Chen's a guy that's been there and done that, and you can throw him out there and say, give me 6 innings if you need to. But Markham, I actually am kind of hopeful that maybe he gets a comeback out of his career.
Yeah, so kind of like breaking down those guys, they all, they share some different pros and cons. One of the cons that I think for Chen, Downs, and Markham is that they're all spring invitee guys. And so if you put them on a 25-man roster, you're going to have to make a 40-man move. And if you take a look at their 40-man roster, I'm not sure there's a lot of guys that they want to part with or risk parting with as teams set their roster. Because as teams all set their rosters at the end of March and early April, it becomes easy to claim other people's players. So if you let a guy off your 40-man, when you make that move, it's very possible that they're not clearing waivers and going to Columbus. So I think the Indians are guarded. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but I'm saying, you become guarded to try and slide a guy through waivers at that point. So to me, I kind of feel like if one of those 3 is going to make the team, I think the guy that has the best shot is Sean Markham, because I think he has the chance to give them a long-term impact. Like you said, I think Chen is a guy that maybe could give you a couple starts. He could be in and out of the bullpen, but he could also be out of baseball by May 1st, too, if he gets off to a terrible start. And I'm not sure that that's a guy that they're necessarily interested in risking someone else off their 40-man for. Kind of the same thing with Scott Downs. They already have 3 lefties in their bullpen. If you're going to take an extra reliever like Terry Francona wants to often, I would think it would be a right-hander. My question with Markham is, this is a guy who's been through so much to get back to where he is. And one of the things I think going for him is that they kind of lost out on this guy last year when they let Aaron Harang go. And part of me wonders if that's in the back of their mind and say, we've put 2 years or a year of rehab and work into Sean Markham all of last year. Don't we owe ourselves the opportunity to give this guy a chance?
Yep.
So I think, of those 3, if they're going to move a guy onto the roster, I think Markham, probably presents the best case. What I wonder is, if he's the 5th starter, there's not a lot of work there early on, and that doesn't lend well to a guy who's come off of injuries. And, then, are you looking at a situation where maybe TJ House goes to AAA for the first 2 weeks and Sean Markham takes that fourth spot, and then you bring House, to the big league level when you're really ready for that fifth starter. I think those decisions are there to be made. I don't think Markham's a guy for everything he's been through that you go, we're going to toss him in the bullpen for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll bring him back and make him a starter come the end of April. So I think if you're willing to go down the Sean Markham road, you got to do what's best to make Sean Markham successful if you're going to give him that chance. So I think that almost creates a story in itself. How do you handle that?
I agree. And plus, I mentioned the other day, I said I could see us, no matter who is the fifth starter, or any one of those guys you want to name, I honestly think it may be best just in general for the Indians, because of that lack of needing one, is that whoever it's going to be is literally sent down to AAA, not in any bad way. We want you to pitch regular every fifth day for the next 3 weeks, and then your next spot, we'll time it up where the next spot in the rotation, we bring you up. Like what you just described, I could see that no matter who it is, for the simple fact that you would want nobody. If it's Salazar, Markham, if it's any of those guys, House, any of them, whoever you pick, you don't want them sitting for 3 weeks, like you said. So it just may behoove whoever that fifth starter is going to be to go get in a routine and get in a groove and get 2 or 3 AAA starts going.
Right, and Markham's on a minor league deal, and he's kind of indicated, maybe he'd be open to going to the minors, but I wonder if that was a deal that they made with him, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hey, you go to Columbus for 3 weeks and we'll call you on April 20th. We want you to get regular starts. If the promise is there that he's going to get the call when they do need that regular fifth starter, I would think that that's a situation that he would probably go to the minors for. If he's healthy and ready to go and finishes spring training the way he started, somebody's going to give him a big league job. And at 33 years old, I don't think Sean Markham necessarily is interested in playing the waiting game at AAA with no promises or assurances that he's going to get a quick call to the big league. So for all those reasons, I guess I would think he's the leader for maybe that 25th spot, but we'll see. If I was going to make a case for someone, I think anybody that's heard me on your show in any kind of regularity,
I know where we're going. I would pull the Francisco Lindor ripcord and let's get the party started right now. You've talked yourself into it. You're ready to go Lindor.
You don't have to talk me into anything.
Well, you know what I mean, into doing it now and not waiting until the 4th of July or anything. You want to do it now.
I will tell you right now, first of all, I've been on your show for a couple years. I don't think I've ever wavered from this statement that Francisco Lindor is one of the most professional and mature players I've ever seen or talked to. That has never changed in terms of a young player who could handle any kind of setback. I think he is more equipped mentally to handle any kind of, potential early on struggle that he would have. For a team that is so defensively sketchy, he makes them much better. And if for the simple fact of looking at roster configuration, when I gave you the position players, Kipnis, Ramirez, Chisenhall, and Aviles, those are the only guys that can play the infield. You get a day-to-day regular injury of some kind, and Mike Aviles goes in to cover for one of your starters, you're pretty much playing without a net underneath you, and that's kind of a tight spot to be in. Everyone in the world knows that Francisco Lindor is the future. He's their shortstop. He has done nothing but prove all spring that he's ready. It's not like I'm trying to talk myself or anyone else into a guy who's only hitting 200 or 250.
And that's not what I meant, real quick. That's not what I meant when I said that. I simply meant that I think any Indians fan that's been following him is like, yeah, let's get Lindor going. But you try to convince yourself that it's best to wait until the optimal time. So that's what I mean by talking yourself into saying, you know what, let's do it now. I don't want to wait until June. I don't want to wait until August. I want to. Let's go now. And that's if they think he's ready, let's do it, man. Because you're right.
Yeah.
Defensively, he's there. Offensively, this spring, and that's the only thing I don't want to do is get fooled by spring training at all. And then and even then though, if he struggles the first couple weeks, I can make that argument too. Hey, let him struggle. Let him. He'll get through it. He's fought through it at every other level. Let him fight through it here too. It's not going to be all peaches and cream, So I'm with it. And now you're getting me excited because I'm going, maybe the Indians are actually considering it.
Anybody that's seen him play in regularity will tell you that they don't think he'll struggle, and that includes Indians personnel. They wouldn't say it publicly, but they don't think he'll struggle. And to me, this is all about arbitration time and
starting the clock.
Service
time
and starting the clock. And without opening, a gigantic can of worms, first, if this team is about winning, like they say that this team is about winning, and if you are drinking the Kool-Aid of all the national pundits, then why not try and be the best team that you can be in 2015 and go right back to what, where I was with the Cavs. And let's just win now and worry about the rest of it later. And,
I hear you. Hey, you know what? Dan in the chat room, following on your point, let me jump right in there. He's saying, with your scenario, is it Lindor and Ramirez or Lindor or Ramirez? Is it a one-spot deal?
Lindor and Ramirez.
Okay.
Jose Ramirez, then becomes a guy. I mean, and with that same roster, Jerry, who's your designated hitter right now? You don't have one, okay? I mean, you might be able to give Brandon Moss a couple extra days at DH to, take care of that hip while Swisher's out. But you don't have a DH. You remember a couple years ago they talked about not having a set designated hitter.
Yes, I do.
Roving DH. Well, to get
Jose
back
Lopez.
to that roster that was very versatile, if you have Jose Ramirez and you have Mike Aviles and they're both playing 4 days a week, your defense becomes a lot better. And maybe Lonnie Chisenhall gets an extra day at designated hitter. Maybe Jason Kipnis gets an extra day at designated hitter. No, it's not a one or the other for me.
I got you.
If the Indians are contenders like they say they're contenders, then let's put the best team on the field on opening day. And that best team, I'll listen to anybody's argument who tries to tell me that, Francisco Lindor and Jose Ramirez aren't two of, their 12 or 13 best position players, because I think you're wrong if you don't think that those aren't two of the 13 best in their camp. So to me, this is all about dollars and cents. And really, to me, if Francisco Lindor at this point goes to Columbus, it's about service time and arbitration clocks, and that's not a dedication to winning. And to me, that's very, very disappointing.
Then let me ask you. Let me ask you the question.
Him develop. He's developed. Let's go play ball.
I ask right there, the obvious question that you leave open. What do you think the Indians are going to do? Do you think they're going to start the season with him? Is his strong play going to be enough to say, you know what, the hell with it? Or do you think they're going to stick to the plan?
I think this conversation we're having right now is going to pick up a lot of speed in the next 2 weeks.
In the office, yeah. not just outside. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think at one point, they put that fire out a long time ago that he would start in the minor leagues, and I think most people bought into it. And I think, Francisco Lindor has done everything that he can to rekindle that fire because he's going out and playing very well. That's why
he sure has.
We're not talking about a guy who's we're trying to rush. He's giving every indication that he's ready. So what do I think is going to happen? I think in their heart of hearts, if everybody stays healthy and we're where we are right now, come opening day, I think they're going to have to take a real, long, hard look in the mirror and ask themselves, are we playing to win right now? Are we putting the best team on the field? And if their answer to that is yes, then he's on their opening day roster. It's that simple. If they're playing to win and they're playing their best, he's on their opening day roster. He's one of their 13 best position players. I don't think it's a question. And to go with the whole arbitration clock, I always make this comparison. They have known him for going on 4 years now. You will not find anyone on or off the record in the Indians organization to say a single thing negative about him. They know everything about this kid since the time he was 17. They were willing a year ago, almost to the day, to give Yan Gomes a 6-year extension, okay? He had been in their organization for about a year before that. If you're willing to go down the Yan Gomes road and give a 6-year extension to a guy that you acquired, who you knew for 12 months, you're telling me you're the Indians, you're worried about 3 months on the schedule and how much it'll cost you? I mean, they know this kid better than anyone, and they've known him for years. Give him the money he wants. Give him the money he wants at the end of this year. If you are ever going to jump the gun on someone, buy out his arbitration years. Start him on opening day and let him play the season. Buy out his arbitration years in October.
Now.
I'll go one step further. You know, the Tampa Bay Rays, you know, were chastised at the time. They got a sweet deal on Evan Longoria when they signed him to a long-term extension after he had played about 11 days in the big leagues. My point is, if you're ever going to jump the gun on a long-term contract and buy out arbitration years, Francisco Lindor is a guy that you do that for, and the Indians have known him for years. They know what they're getting more than maybe any other player. They've had bigger risks before and happily done it. So why are we worried about a couple months? If the kid's worth the money, pay him the money.
And plus, with everything you just spelled out, that is what makes it it's not like you can hindsight it with some things later and go, well, they shouldn't. That's one that if it, worst case scenario, and it just didn't work out, nobody could look at that and go, boy, we shouldn't have, because it's a no-brainer to do exactly the way you spelled it out. If it doesn't work out, then some higher power other than us, this wasn't supposed to work out, you know, and you feel good about taking your chances there. Guys, just getting ready to wrap things up with Mike Brandenberry here. I got one more question for you, but quickly, March Madness update. Notre Dame, Northeastern in the second half. Notre Dame pulled out to a 10-point lead, but that game back and forth. How about this upset alert at halftime? Alabama, Birmingham, they definitely came to play. They lead third-seeded Iowa State 31-28 at the half. Keep an eye on that one in the second half. Mike Brandenberry, real quick off the Indians, but on baseball. We don't have to go along with this. I know you've got to go in a moment, but what's your thoughts? All the Pete Rose talk back in the air and everything. Dan Wismar and I were talking the other day, and Jeff Gorman as well. My thoughts are, you know, as far as does he go in the Hall of Fame or not, I don't care. Make that argument for yourself. That's the argument, is let him. I don't mind reinstating him, because as long as you give people the option to vote for Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire, give them the option to keep Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame too. I don't believe he'll reach the 75% that he needs anyway, but don't keep him out. Just reinstate him, let him be on the ballot, and then let the voters decide. Otherwise, then the other argument is, why aren't we banning these other guys from the ballot too? So let him be on and let him be voted on or off by the 75% that he needs. Where are you at?
Yeah, I do have to go soon, but you hit it right on the head for me. I'm a guy I don't think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. But if we're going to have, you know, a yearly vote on Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and other guys who, you know, totally damaged the game, and I think, you know, Pete falls in the same category, I think he deserves the right for voters to not vote for him too.
Yep.
And I'm with you. I don't think he'd get voted in on the same precedent.
I don't.
And as much as I wouldn't vote for him, I would say I do believe there'll be a day where, someone who did steroids will get into the Hall of Fame, and it's going to open the can of worms where it's going to be free flowing and they all get in. And if and when that day comes, I'll say put Pete in too. But I wouldn't vote for him for that reason. But I think he deserves to be on the ballot and get his name left off like everybody else.
That's it. There's not, because I don't believe there's a chance in the world that he gets 75%. No, when I look at how harsh they're being with the steroid guys, and rightfully so, there's not a chance in the world. I don't think Pete Rose could get half of the 75% that he needs from how harsh some of the Hall of Fame voters are in baseball. I think he'd be lucky to crack the 40, maybe 45% range.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think he'd be right there around Bonds and Clemens.
Yeah,
and I think
maybe a little better because he didn't cheat
from
the game.
From the only guys making the same comparison.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. And I think baseball probably makes the same decision, because then baseball lets themselves off the hook. No longer are you the bad guys keeping Pete out and you leave it up to the voters, and then there you go. So, it's not like I doubt anybody's going to offer him a job. What, maybe the Reds hire him as a ticket ambassador or something in the offseason, that's about it. So it's not like reinstating him is going to bring him back into the game directly,
Right. So,
Mike Brandenberry, what are you guys working on this week for Did the Tribe Win Last Night?
Well, it's funny because a lot of things that we talked about today are headed onto our website.
Funny how that works out.
I'm drafting Sean Markham's profile for tomorrow and possibly where he fits on this roster. And you can probably expect somewhere between like 1,200 and 1,500 passionate words about me and Francisco Lindor sometime this weekend. So look forward to that.
Sounds good. And make sure you guys bookmark it. Did the Tribe Win Last Night.com. Mike Brandenberry and crew doing a great job as always. Mike, great conversation today, all over the place, man. And I look forward to next week. Man, next week, what will we be? We'll be like, a week, 10 days out from opening day?
We'll be about 10 days out, and hopefully we'll be leading the Francisco Lindor train all the way to Houston.
That's it, baby. That's it. I'm with you. You got me excited because now I'm hopeful that they see, because the whole thing wasn't us, it's them. It's how do they see it. Now you get me to get my hopes up when I was sure. I just said, you know what? Lindor's not even in the equation. I'm not even going to get excited. Hey, he's hitting 7,000. Who cares? I'm not even going to get excited about this. Now you got me thinking about it again. Now you got me hyped up, wondering if they're going to pull the trigger on Francisco Lindor. We'll see next week. It gives us something else to talk about. Mike, have a great week. Enjoy the basketball, the Cavs, the Indians, all those things going on, and we'll do the thing next Thursday.
You too, my man. Thanks for having me, as always.
Thanks for being here. As always, my man, Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. Great hour-long conversation here today. He's here every Thursday on the Sports Fix. Guys, don't go anywhere. I'm going to take the final break of the day. We are definitely going to get out of here and let you guys get to some basketball. We're going to update the tournament games. I didn't even get to it earlier. The Vikings smashed a little bit of basketball yesterday. I'm telling you, they played with a chip on their shoulder like they weren't happy with where they were playing, and if they'd only done that just a little bit sooner, they may have been the team that knocked off Valpo, and they may be sitting there in my 13-4 upset in the first round of the tournament. But they did get the victory last night. We'll talk about that, set the stage for tomorrow, a little bit more tournament talking more. Don't go anywhere. Final segment of The Fix coming up next.
I go to work.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Throwing you the best sports commentary in town. The Sports Fix.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Looking to upgrade your league trophy? Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com. SportsFix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
Hey, everybody. Listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey, guys. Listen up. No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date. No woman should have to fear violence.
Especially not from someone they know and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it.
It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Tristan Thompson of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you're listening to Sports Fix.
Welcome back. Your dreams. Welcome back to the Sports Fix. That's right, live. J-Rocc with you here. We're wrapping things up a little bit shorter than usual. So this time I didn't tell you ahead of time, but we are going to get out of here because it's March Madness, baby. The games have just begun, and will continue throughout the day here. I'll tell you what. Look out, Notre Dame. They appear to have got a little breathing room again. They had opened up a 10-point lead on Northeastern. And then Northeastern came right back and had it within it looked like they were within 3 points here just a minute ago. But Notre Dame has opened back up to a 7-point lead right now in that one, looking to survive. Of course, the third-seeded Irish, a lot of people's favorites. I think Dan Wismar had them going on a nice little run here through the tournament in his bracket as well. Right now, that game's a 7-point game. Just about 12 minutes remain in that one. Meanwhile, getting ready to come out for the second half, UAB with a 3-point lead. There's one to keep an eye on, as that could be a bracket buster right there. 14-3 upset, at least halfway through on the radar there for Iowa State and Alabama Birmingham. The Buckeyes 4:40 on TNT will be their tip-off. Kevin Harlan, Reggie Miller calling that game. And, like I said, I talked myself into the Buckeyes here today, even though I should know better. I mean, VCU is a good team. We know about that. Dan Wismar and I previewed the game a couple of times this week. You know what the Buckeyes have to do to win. Something in my gut tells me that they will pull this one out here. It's the 27th NCAA tournament appearance for the Ohio State Buckeyes. All-time record in the Big Dance, 48-25. During the Thad Matta era, Buckeyes have played in 25 NCAA tournament games. Their record, 17-8. And, of course, they've been to a couple of Final Fours in that run as well. This year's team, 30 games of combined NCAA tournament experience. Not a ton there. That's going to be one of the weaknesses of this team. We've talked about VCU and Shaka Smart's team and what they bring in here to this one. They're coming into this season with the 15th highest RPI for a non-conference schedule in the country and 8th toughest overall. That's one of the reasons that I fear I may have been a little too homerish, but I went with the Buckeyes in this one, as did everybody from the Plain Dealer, by the way, looking at their predictions. But I've got the Bucks coming out of this one and going down in round 2. We'll find out about that. It's 4:40 tonight. I saw Doug LeMarie had done some research in the Plain Dealer that since 2009, no team's lost more close NCAA tournament games than the Ohio State Buckeyes, which speaks to their ability to get up for the games and to play. Even when they go down, they don't get run out of the tournaments here. There's only 10 programs since 2009 that have lost multiple tournament games by only 1 or 2 points, and only 3 in that grouping have lost 3 or more games by 1 or 2 points since 2009. That's the 2 teams that play today and Tennessee. Ohio State, VCU, and Tennessee. And Ohio State is the only team that's won 4 games since 2009 by 1 or 2 points in the NCAA tournament. Doesn't really matter, I guess. That's, a silver lining or something, because you're out. Whether you lose by 1 point or 100 points, you're out no matter what. But interesting to think. Last 6 years in that time period, Buckeyes 11-6 in the tournament, but 4 of those games were right there, man. It's amazing. In the previous 6 Buckeyes losses, they've lost by a total of 14 points in the NCAA tournament. A 1-point loss, 3 2-point losses, and then losses by 3 and 4 points. They play them tight in the tournament. Can they do it one more time? Get themselves past VCU? As much as the popular pick is to go against the Buckeyes, I'm going with them here in this one here. Matter of fact, real quick, looking around at today's games, I'll just tell you guys, we can come back here tomorrow and see at what we've got today. I've got Kentucky and Cincinnati, Texas coming out of that one, Wichita State, Kansas. Looking over on the other side, Villanova, North Carolina State. Coming down to the bottom half of the bracket. Other winners for today, I've got Wisconsin. I've got the 12-5 upset, Arkansas going down to Wofford there. I've got North Carolina knocking off Harvard. Xavier with the victory in that game. Buckeyes, as I mentioned, Arizona will be on the other side of the bracket against them. I've got I've got Utah going down in the 12-5 upset there for sure against over there. I've got 13-4, another upset just avoided. I think Georgetown's going to hang on. That's a hot pick, by the way. A lot of people there looking at Georgetown perhaps being an upset pick against Eastern Washington, but I've got them coming out of that one, and I've actually got them going to the Sweet 16. Other today winners, I've got UCLA with an 11-6, kind of an upset. I don't really call that a big upset. And I had Iowa State. Man, I hope I was right about that one coming out of this one with UAB. They trail by 3 at the half of that one, man. Let's see how I come out here today as we head into tomorrow. Let me know where you guys are at. As I said, of the 50 entries into our tournament challenge, 31 of you guys have Kentucky walking the whole dance and finishing things off. I've got Duke coming out of this one here. We'll talk about all of that tomorrow. What upsets? What buzzer beaters? What will there be to discuss tomorrow? We'll find out as the madness continues today. We'll talk about it. Jonathan Knight, sports writer. You know what? JK is scheduled for tomorrow, which means something crazy is going to happen tonight. Something amazing will happen tonight. It'll be the greatest quadruple overtime Buckeyes game in history, or something crazy has to happen because it always happens the day before JK and I do the thing. Jonathan Knight will be here. We'll talk about day one of the NCAA tournament. We've got Eddie Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland in the house tomorrow as well, as he'll be here talking about the Cavaliers and the big tilt with the Pacers coming up as now the Cavs get it back on their home court. We'll talk about that here, you guys, as well. Doug Plagans, voice of the Lake Erie Monsters, scheduled to join us here. We'll talk all of that. Indians, baseball, so much more. Get you ready for the weekend, man. My favorite time of the year is underway. I don't know about you guys, but it's definitely my favorite weekend here. And I'm going to get out of here and enjoy some of these games, get out in time to catch the tip-off of the next one coming up. You guys do the same thing, but hey, come on back and join us here. Same bad time, same bad channel tomorrow, live at noon right here. Wherever you listen to us today across the Sports Fix Radio Network. And hey, if you liked what you heard, do me a favor. Tell somebody else to tune in as well. I'm not leaving just yet, because I am not going to shortchange the Vikings. I did it in segment 2, and I'm not going to do it here before we go off. That music can just play for a minute. Vikings last night played like a team that was not happy to be playing in the collegeinsider.com tournament, and they demolished Western Michigan 86-57 last night. Cleveland State shot nearly 60% from the field. They nailed 13 three-pointers on the night. It was just one three-pointer shot of the Vikings' single-game history record. Vikings now up their wins to 19-14 on the season, knocking off and ending the season for the Western Michigan Broncos at 20-14. Charlie Lee led the way. 28 points, 7 assists. Charlie Lee was 10 of 13 from the field, 8 of 11 from three-point, one shy of the school record for three. Anton Grady, another double-double, his 10th of the season. 21 points, career high 14 rebounds, career high 6 assists. Anton Grady made a statement last night. Marlon Mason had 13 and Trey Lewis had 13 as well. And the Vikings held Western Michigan to 30% shooting from the field. Vikings started out hot. They led by 18 at halftime, and they did not let up as they continued to shoot 50% from the floor in the second half of the tournament. The second round seeding, I don't know if it's set. I think I saw a tweet earlier from Greg over at Cleveland State. Maybe the New Jersey Institute of Technology is the next opponent for the Vikings here coming up on Monday, because they reseed the tournament after the first round games are done. But I do believe that NJIT is the next team in the sights of the Vikings. But the way the Vikes played, for those of you that checked it out last night, the way the Vikes played, that team could have easily ran the table in the Horizon League tournament. That team that played last night could be dancing right now, and I think maybe you saw a little bit of that. They weren't happy in the way the season ended, and they played that way. It just goes to show you that, too little, too late. You only get one opportunity, and then you have to look back with regret. But all they can do now is play the games in front of them and go win the collegeinsider.com tournament. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, too, guys. I wasn't getting out of here without mentioning that. We'll talk Monsters as they're over the border in Toronto. Doug Plagans is here tomorrow, and so much more, guys. We're going to call it a day and come on back here tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel, live at noon right here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. We love you, Cleveland. We'll see you tomorrow, noon, right here on The Fix.